take it. That means the eggs are still there. Miss Robin is still flying around. It's not eggs no more. It's been about 4 days since I looked in here. Where is it? Oh, they got feathers. Huh. I kind of see that on my screen, but don't look like they're moving very much. But she was just in the nest. I just seen her fly down, so. Oh, you angry? You angry at me? Well, better than the other kind of birds that we get. Super windy today. Super windy. And the weeds just growing across that area. I think that's not going to survive. Right here, they're all starting to come in. But when I'm at work, girlfriend moved some sand around the garage here. So that should be pretty good. Okay, so the plan for this weekend is right here. I'm going to pour a cement pad about 8 inches to a foot deep and about 20 inches square. Mostly we'll go to that side so it doesn't stick out and stub my toe on it. And that's going to have a 4x4 post that's going to go from there. And it's going to go right up to about there. And I'm going to block it a little bit so it doesn't move. And then basically what I'm going to do is run 10 footers from here to the wall. I might have to kind of adjust accordingly, but the idea is the bench is going to be 3 feet out to here, and then I'm going to go right at the wall height, or actually probably just about right about here, just above my head. I'm going to have another shelf, kind of like what I got at my dad's house, so I don't need to leave the scaffolding there. And that's going to be a whole nother shelf going across, and only one center beam is going to be a 4x4, but I'm going to also have 2x4s on the sides, so the weight of the 10-foot 2x6s can sit on them. And then for here, I'm going to measure 3 feet out, and they're going to be attached in here. So, and as for attaching them here, I would like to be able to go to one of these studs, but I'm going to probably have to put in another stud right at my mark. Another stud in here, so should not be that big of a deal, but it's going to make it the most strength, you could say. So, and then after that, I'm going to actually take 2x6s, lay them flat, kind of like how I have this table here. And then plywood's going to go on top, but they're going to actually go this direction, I think, this time. And then I got 2 sheets of plywood there, so by going 3 feet, I'll have 3 feet for the plywood out and a foot for the backer. I think that's the best way to do it. It's going to be a pretty big shelf, but the idea is it's going to be high enough that I can actually park a tractor where it goes underneath. That way the 3 feet of the tractor hood is kind of hidden, and I don't lose any space for storing tractors during the winter. So long as I drive them in, that is, but should work out pretty good. So the top, I could make it actually 4 feet. I think I'll make it stick out 4 feet because I don't need a backer board, and that way I'm not wasting plywood, and that's going to give me plenty of storage up there. And again, one single 4x4 post, and it's also going to be attached to the ceiling, and it's also going to have 2 2x6s on each side. And then it's going to be open. The reason why I want to leave it open is this side's going to be for tractors. This side, sooner or later, I'm going to actually make drawers that come out. Again, it's hard to explain, and I'm just going to pull it out of my ass as I'm doing it. Like I said, I already built it in my head probably 3 times. Yeah, he's trying to run away. You can see how many's like jayed up, and you can't really see them, but how many did you count were cocooned?
There's 66 right now.
That are in cocoons?
Yeah, and there's like 14 more that are jayed up today, and probably another 30 will jay up tomorrow.
And yet, we haven't decided to put a camera to watch them change into their crystal list. And I swear, you walk around the corner, you come back, and it's in it. So is it something that happens within a minute? I'm too lazy to look it up online. But, I mean, I'm sure there's hundreds of videos showing how they do it. But, yeah, that's a lot of canker poop. Woo. She's a windy one. And smoky. It's nowhere around town. Just went in to the local store. And fluid film. My truck's a little covered in dust now, but that's fine. There's $180 worth of wood, 14 2x6x12s, or by 10s, and that's about 7 pounds of screws. So, but holy shit. I'm just looking at this tree. Wow, those all came back very quick, hey? That's all fresh growth. It's been, I guess, 2 weeks since I brought that here. 3 trees in there, but once again, I forget to turn on the power. Like, come on. I should really be cutting the grass first, but I gotta get the wood in here before it rains. Well, a little bit later in the day, what turned just to moving the quad outside of the garage somehow magically turned into well over an hour long quad ride. Turn on the light! So, yeah. Well, I guess I packed the ground down pretty good.
You packed the ground down, eh?
Yeah, well, that's where I had the tractor and everything with the stuff. Yeah, that's pretty solid. Putting in a roughly, I don't know, 18-inch, 19-inch square chunk of concrete right there. Just to have the 4x4 pole for the workbench. Having fun?
Nope.
Yeah. Got rid of all the old spent powder I had in buckets everywhere, and some of it was a little crunchy, but it should be okay. Well, got the bottom layer, top layer. It's a little bit wet right now, so I'll give that a little bit of a final level and check in a few minutes. But again, it doesn't have to be perfect. So the cement, you can't see it because I put sand on it, but it goes all the way around there, all the way back here. I purposely put sand on the front there because I don't want it sticking up and tripping on it, but looks like it will be perfect. Oh yeah, and once again, it's raining, of course. Doesn't make sense that it wouldn't be. Every weekend it has to rain. Well, the good thing is, it looks like I didn't have to do any work. I love it when I don't do anything. Well, doesn't look perfect. It's not meant to look perfect. And that's the way it's going to stay. I just took the level and leveled it both directions and gave it a kind of a smoother finish. So yeah, it's still actually fairly wet, but I took off the forms because that's the only way I could do it with the level. Just finished washing her off, but yeah, just pretty much use this to adjust it however I need it, and good enough. I was tempted to take an actual 4x4 post and recess it in, but it doesn't need to be because it's going to be held in place with the boards. So finally stopped raining. I just finished cutting the grass with the bowlines, and I don't know, I never did in this area because there's still stuff in place, but I don't know, she does a pretty good job. So wheels do leave pretty good ruts in places, but my birdie friend over here, he wasn't very happy when I cut this, or she. Oh, it isn't a nest, hey? No? No, it's not. I'm not going to bug the birds anymore, but oh, so many weeds coming in here. Cutting the weeds. Back here, it's wheels sink in pretty good. But of course, it just rained, but I guess it hasn't rained last night since I moved my truck. That's kind of a good thing. It's junk still out here. I'm trying to get a start on this morning. And got to go find my 4x4 post from the back. And I wonder if it's still level. Took off the forms. It was still a little mushy. It moved a little bit. Yeah, slightly moved, but that might be okay. But again, I was going to put in a post holder, but I don't need to because the workbench itself is going to hold the post. It's going to be mounted to the wall. I'm not going to be running a center beam like that because I want to be able to, of course, park tractors under it. So now I got to go find a 4x4 post and see from there. And of course, I forgot to turn on the lights in here. It doesn't surprise me. Wow, that's a fair bit of water in there. And we dumped that a few times when we were working. Huh. Any birdie up here this morning? Oh, I see them moving. Chirp chirps. birdies. Hey. Hey. I see your heads. I see your little beaks. I hear the mama crying at me. Or screaming at me. Yeah, I don't see her. Ah, there she is. You a little angry? Yeah. Yeah. Was I looking at him? You don't like that, do you? Okay, now do I got any of these that are actually straight? I think if I remember right, these 3 here were pretty well perfect. That one, not so perfect. I think the center one is pretty crooked. Have to figure out one. These are all 12 footers. And yeah, they're used, but should work for what I wanted. I used to have the tent shed sitting on them, and the 5th one ended up being one of those poles. Those bastards better not come back. Just seen the damn barn swallows. They literally came up to the door and turned around. Just gave a little trim off this guy and see if she's going to fit. Yes, she's not a perfect cut. I'm cutting it little bits at a time to see when she fits perfectly. Okay, so the pole's in place. That took a fair bit of leveling, trimming. So, seeing I just pulled that on my ass, I got it pretty centered. I never really measured exactly, so I just made it a bit oversized. The idea is 1.5 inch board will go on the front here, all the way down. So, yeah, it's going to look okay. And that's perfectly level, and measurements, everything is in line, so perfecto. Well, that's my redneck way of holding it. Yeah, should work good. Now, you guys might not be able to see it, but when I went to tighten it, it slid over to one side, right? And look at this. It actually moved itself off my marks. And I just checked, it's still perfectly level, so yeah. Oh, there we go. See there, it just moved off the marks. But nice and solid, and still, believe it or not, absolutely perfectly level. And exactly where I need it at the measurement 3 foot. So perfect there. Oh, I was on the rebar, I think, a little bit there, but and perfect there. Look at that, hey? Can't go wrong. Oh, again, I'm on a temporary bar. Well, maybe I do gotta adjust it a little bit. Okay. Nah, I'm gonna call that perfect. Good enough. So it's not the straightest pole. It's a used one, but yeah, I still left the chunks of rebar in there, so just give them a grind down, but yeah, that works good. That holds it good enough for now. Again, the actual workbench, this is just like for a guide, you could say. The actual bench is actually going to sit on, I'm going to have boards on the side of it like this, and the bench is actually going to be resting mostly on these guys here. So again, this is just kind of like a guide, you could say. And that's about it. But whew, it's getting warm in here already. Okay, so I'm just deciding how high I want to make this workbench. And elbow height. My elbow's about 2.5 inches higher than this bench. This bench here I thought was pretty good. But I'm going to make it a little bit higher still. And I think I'll be able to still park like the Sears tractors and the small Bolins, not the big Bolins, never. It's way too tall. It's like a foot taller than the Sears. But the idea is to maybe park tractors under on that side. This side will all be shelving and possibly toolboxes. What I should really do is technically go measure some toolboxes and find out what kind of height the toolboxes come in. But at the same time, I got this 12-foot board, and I'm thinking, yeah, I think I'm going to cut it at the 3-foot mark and just go with that. We'll see. That should be pretty much the same height as the corner in there. Besides, that has a double bottom sill, you could say, but we'll see. I thought I'd show a little bit of an update. how everything's going for now. That's screwed right to the back. I am going to be putting another board beside this one here. And as for the center board here, I still don't know if I'm going to put in a center beam. Should, if I am going to do that, really pour another concrete pad. But at the same time, I don't think I need a center one. Anything that goes on this that's going to be heavy is going to be right at the very end here. And there is going to be boards, 2x4, 2x6 is going across it like this with plywood on top. So the center will still be pretty solid. And again, if I need to put anything heavier on it, I'll probably have a different workbench. This is more storage and slight workbench, hard to say. Well, now I'm kind of thinking, she's perfectly level. Doesn't matter which crisscross, back, front to back, everywhere is perfectly level. Got that side up. I'm thinking if I want to put in a center beam, and I'm also thinking if I want to add a second center beam here. So beside that one, just to make it this like a heavy duty side and that a lighter side. I'm also deciding if I want to put a board along the front with a lip overhanging about 1 inch. That way I can clamp stuff to it. Or if I want to put all my boards facing this way and right up to the edge. I can also leave those technically overhanging too. But I mean, if I bring them right to there, it's going to be exactly 3 foot. And this is not, that is weird. Ah, I see. The board's warped. Okay, so that board is not a straight edge. That's going to make me wonder now. Yeah, that's perfect. Let's see. So, yeah, that's, you can see that fits a lot nicer. So that board's warped. It's probably why actually it's a cutoff. But I'm deciding if I want to put a second board right beside this one. That's not the biggest. This can handle some weight, but it's not, you could say, as good of a load bearing setup. So what I might do is put a block underneath right there to kind of help hold it up. This side here, it's screwed in there pretty good. And I could technically put a block under that too. And it's definitely going to hold a lot more weight. But again, the screws would have to shear before anything drops. But I got a lot of blocks. I might screw a couple blocks in there. Kind of sucks that this stud right here isn't right there in the middle, because then I could put a middle stud here. I'm going to put a second one in there. It's kind of bold right now, but I'm not too worried about that. This one here, actually, this has to get pulled in such a slight amount here. But when I do that, it'll pull these together. The reason why I didn't put this on that side is I was worried I couldn't get out if I screwed it in there. You know, big belly. So it'd be harder to do that. But again, this is probably going to end up being the heavy duty side, and that's going to be the lighter side. And then again, I'm going to do a 4-foot section that hangs out. The reason for doing the top one is kind of like at my dad's house. Instead of putting lights way up on the ceiling, the lights will just be along the top shelf. That will give plenty of light for this area. And as for this, that's about how far my reach is. If I bend over, I can reach stuff. And for a table, like a standing height, everyone says the height of your shoulder when it's bent. So you can see right now, this is going to be about 1.5 inches higher. But my idea is gravel's going to go a little bit higher on the floor, which is going to raise this up. And there is room I could park tractors underneath it. So that way I'm not losing any ground space. I can put that air compressor underneath it, and a whole pile of other stuff can fit underneath it when I'm done. What did you just say?
I said I feel like a shrimp. It's huge. How am I supposed to reach anything? You know what? It's your own fault when I can't get things for you, because I won't be able to reach them. You've made a shelf for giants.
I did it on purpose so my tools don't go missing.
Your tools? Okay, well, you know, if I want up there bad enough, I can climb like a monkey.
Well, that's what it's going to stay for today. Got all the boards on there. They're a pretty good enough fit without a jointer anyway. But there we go. One side done. Do this other side tomorrow. Oh, sorry. Oh, I guess two of them could fly. Or no,
That's the parents.
that's the parents. I walked around a corner.
Fledgling.
Did I just scare them out of their nest? Were you trying to teach them how to fly?
I wonder if you should put them back in there.
No, I'm pretty sure they can fly now. I think one of those is a baby. Right here, that's a... No? It can fly, see? But you're right, it might not be able to get back into its nest. I walk around the corner, they're just sitting on the nest, I pull out my camera and they jump. I don't know. Oh, here's this one here. Well, they were literally ready to fly. Kind of.
Fledglings.
Yeah. I think the other one's actually up there flying.
Oh. That's pretty pissed at you.
I know. Well, there was only ever one here.
No, Mom and Dad are always around. They take turns. I think he's under there.
Maybe. I wonder if those birds came back. Nope. Interesting. I think I scared them away from their home. Well, that's good because I had to clean up all this shit anyway this weekend, so it might be a good thing they're gone. And we got an escapee that is cocooning actively. And he sees through it, I think, because he stopped. He was just moving like hell, now he stopped, hey? And lots of butterflies going out.
This is 4 and 5 today. We've got, that's a little girl.
Butterflies stink.
And that's a little girl. No, that's a little boy. And that's not the brightest girl in the world.
But butterflies do stink.
Do they?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so it's now Canada Day weekend. Not really a long weekend because it lands on a Saturday. So I'm still, working, you could say, Monday. But, must have got pretty hot in here because I don't remember seeing those cracks in there before. Right there is cracked. Wow. Crack. Yeah, it's a little warm in here. Right now it's plus frickin' burning my balls off. So that's equals to about plus 35 outside. In this area of the greenhouse, remember that wall's open there. That's how warm it says it is, so a little bit warm. In this area here, I'm still going to say it's probably close to 35 in here. It's about the same outside. So, wow, everything's so dusty. Some very old classics. Still covered in pollen, but starting to go through everything and deciding if I want to go. Wait, I can't go by 2x6s. I think I'm going to use rough cut on this side because it's not going to really be a workbench. This is where the drill press and a few other tools will probably be mounted. So I do got the one last stud here that has to go across the middle. Holy, wow, it's like a kiln drying shit in here, I guess. So gotta get the one more stud in there, and probably where the drill press will go and a few other parts, but I'll have to wait and see. The other plans I got, again, making a 4-foot top area here for storage. Might not do that till next week. We'll see. Yeah, these are pretty rough, but this is what I'm going to use for the other side of the workbench. The idea is this other side is going to get this shit. This is just I'm not going to say shit, but the crappy stuff. And then after that, I'm going to be putting plywood on top of it. So I'll get this for now, and it should make it strong enough. Okay, so I also have all these rough cuts too. And I'm kind of changing my plans as I go along. So I just brought all that shit in. And I know the fan's loud, but it's staying on. So I might still do this with rough cut. The problem is some of it's 1/2 inch, some of it's 3/4, some of it's 1 inch, some of it's 1.5 inch thickness. So most of it's pretty close to 1 inch. So I got to cut it into 3-foot sections, kind of check it, screw them all down, put my screws in deep enough that I can sand it. I got the hand planer, I could do it that way. I got the full-size planer that I use to do all the 6x6 beams on the edges, but to be honest, it's brand new in the box. I never pulled it out. To anyone that knows, I burnt it out doing the pulls, and yeah, went and got myself a replacement one. So well, that pull's planed anyway. Quickly, rough done. But the rough stuff like this, I think I'm going to use that up at the top for the shelving, because that's going to be strictly storage, where this is kind of going to be a workbench. But at the same time, I got 2 sheets of plywood back there, buried back there, that I could technically put on here. This is 10 foot, so that's a 4x8. So if I cut off 1 foot section, I could kind of put it in 1 foot strips and I'd have enough. So do I want to do that? I really don't know. We'll have to see. And of course the camera was sideways when I was just talking there, but just done cutting them. And again, an idea. You could maybe see that, how the thickness here versus there. So I'll have to take kind of the smallest one and most likely take out the planer, the big planer. Probably my best bet. Just throw them all through there. You can see also some of them are warped fairly decent there. I do not have the easiest way to fix that. My planer will just squish the board down. So the easiest way is use my clamps and clamp them when I screw them in place. I do not have an edger, so I'm never going to get this edge 100%, but I can just give it a quick buzz if I want to with the hand planer, but that's still not going to get it perfect, so I probably won't even worry about that. But overall, that with plywood on top is going to be almost a perfect height. You can kind of get an idea right there. And I'm leaving that corner open on purpose to put an air line through there. And of course, the one thing that sucked the most about bringing this back for warranty is they gave me a brand new one in a box. This is a pain in the ass to set up, not because it's hard, because it takes time. The freaking stand, yeah. It doesn't really take that much time, maybe 15 minutes, but still, it's bullshit. No, you can kind of see through here. They're all labeled on the top, but all kinds of them in there. And there's this cage. Not really focusing, but lots of them in there. And you think there's going to be 30 in here tomorrow?
Yep.
Oh, hey. That's a little crazy. A couple still in worm form. Well, the planer did an okay job. So once they're all screwed down, they'll be the same. I thought about screwing them into a 6x6 to get the edges better, but I'm not too worried about that. Again, none of this is screwed down yet. One more pass, I would have got rid of those marks, but I don't really care. I'm going to just rotate them around so they're on the ends. So, looks pretty good. And an entire wheelbarrow full of sawdust, too. Yeah. But planer worked great. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 so far. They will be released within half an hour to an hour. Okay, so I got those boards planed, and then I started planing a few more here, and I'm going roughly about half a turn at a time, and she blew the breaker once on her so far, and she's kind of giving that weird burning smell. And can you guys see it? You see the smoke? She is hot. This bear just starting and I stopped. So, and she was still working. She never blew the breaker again, but she is definitely hot. So, I don't think these things have a proper thermal shut off like they say they do. Huh. Interesting, hey? I wonder if you are meant to use a vacuum attachment on them and maybe you're just not meant to use them wide open like this. That could be what the issue is. Hard to say. Oh, and one more thing I should have said when I was talking about planing. I also was taking like 15-minute breaks in between. So technically it was like run it for 15-20 minutes, 15 minutes off, 15-20 minutes on, 15-20 minutes off. And yeah, but last time it did that and we reset it, we were able to reset it probably 10-15 times before she started just popping all the time. So I think she's still going to be good, but it makes me wonder. Wow, there's 12 of them now. And that's just marker on the side. Oh, one just followed you. Here you go.
Just put them on top on me somewhere.
Okay. You got the one that went back there? Yeah. Well, that's the way it looks for now. Got all the boards on there. It's not bad. There is gaps between some of them, but that's where the boards were bowling. Gaps in between. But again, this will most likely get covered with plywood because I got the sheets of plywood. So over here, some of them weren't planed as much. I could have got rid of this. I would have had to throw them all through the planer again. But the problem is then it would have got thin here and you can't see it, but it's notched out on that side. So it wouldn't work the best. But the idea with this stuff now is I'm going to be building a shelving unit kind of idea in the middle here. That way I got like little shelves just for small stuff like this. They'll be in a shelf, so I gotta get another board on this side and continue. These guys here, they all need to be trimmed. Every one of these boards that I used are kind of curving in like a U pattern. I mean, this one here is not bad, but that one's bad. You can kind of see maybe you can't see it. So I'm not too worried about that, but this one here, I'll probably cover this with plywood too. I'm not too sure yet, so that's where I'm leaving it for this weekend. Yeah. Oh, shaky. Oh, shaky. Meow. Meow. 20 times zoom on a cell phone. It's not going to be the best. Meow. I know. Yeah. Yeah, she would almost fit under, but what would I really gain? I'd be able to park up to about right here. I mean, every little bit sometimes counts, but if I put her here, would I fit? I actually probably would fit then. Not too worried about it. I should actually just have this guy sitting outside, but you know, this had her out for only about a half-hour ride. Seen a pile of deer, and I'm thinking of ordering myself a replacement plastic welder. Can't find any tips anymore for the old one I have, and fixing up the plastics on it, and got to get some good pins, the little plastic pins here. Maybe I'll just use nuts and bolts, because anyone find those plastic pins that don't suck? You know how many I went through that literally fall apart immediately? Yeah, pretty shitty. Oh, there was a damn near rainbow there just literally a second ago. It's like 7 in the morning, and just doing a trail. I got an exhaust leak, so it was just raining. Actually freaking crazy rain last night, so but because I got an exhaust leak, I can do a trail again because everything's super wet. And yeah, there was literally just a rainbow there. I don't see no pot of gold or anything, but yeah, it's pretty good. Now another weekend. Just went and grabbed another 14 2x6x10s. Still got the horde of junk out here. But that side I gotta just trim quickly with the saw. Got kind of a shelf on here for now. I don't know if I'll continue that pattern any higher. That top board is kind of broken up, but I mean, it works for now. The idea is to continue kind of like bigger shelves across the back, probably about 12 inches out, because I, you know, even if I stand right here, I can only reach up to about right here for working. So I got literally a foot at the back that I can build my shelving on. So I'm going to have two different style workbenches. That one might end up being for woodworking, and this one will be for grease and crap like that. I'm not too sure yet. But I am building the top area today, so you're going to have to see. I'm kind of going to pull it out of my ass, but I got an idea how I want to do it. It's not looking that bad. I got a double beam at the front. Double beam, but then it turns into a single beam. It's just because I have one 10-footer in the center there joining them together, and they are resting on those 2x6s, which also have a 2x6 that runs down to the bench, and one on the outside that runs all the way down to the floor, so all to the cement pad I poured. But overall, I'm pretty sure that I should be able to put 1,000 pounds per end. As for the ends right there, I am going to block them up a little bit better at the very bottom, but that's not going to be until later on. But I do intend to do that. I got 2 more boards to put up there, and then I can start putting on the boards, and yeah, it should work out pretty good. They're going to be 4 foot, it's going to be like 4 foot by 10 foot almost of space up there. Well, 10 foot by, or 4 foot by like 9 or so, but should be pretty good. Okay, so that's no matter what direction I go, everywhere I go, everything is perfectly level, so works out pretty good. Got no major, little bit of play there up and down, but I mean it's a shelf. It's not freaking a floor, living floor, but yeah, everything's good. So yeah, a little bit off on that one, but okay, a little bit off there, but that's not too big of a deal. Level enough. That's the way I think of it. So I got one beam at the 5 foot mark that goes and joins these together. You can kind of see. So that's going to push more weight onto the center here. And I do got more boards on my truck. But later on, where these connect here, I'm either going to put another board from here straight down to the ground, or another one on edge this way. On edge this way, a 2x4 down. We'll probably go to the workbench later, but I'll probably do that after I insulate. Not too sure yet, but kind of thinking I was going to use the shitty 1x6s, but I think I'm going to use the 2 sheets of plywood I have. That side is kind of stepped a little bit differently. See how it steps its way in? But that's because my studs on the walls were in different spots. So I could technically use a board to hide that, but do I want to bother? I don't know. Might be a waste of $10, but $10 more and it'll look nice. Maybe I will. Haha, that's a dangerous one. Yeah, don't want to get that in my freaking hair. Oh yeah. So that doesn't look that bad. Just added an extra board there strictly for show, you could say. Put a bunch of 6-inch screws through. Still got 3 more boards sitting on my truck over there to cut for the bottom supports, but might do that later. I got 2 4x8 sheets of plywood that I think I'm going to put on for now. Leave the corners open. Not much headroom, but I got to be able to get in there to block all the everything off. So I don't know. We'll see. Lots to get done, and I'm kind of lazy today. But it's definitely looking to have quite a bit of space. Well, those 2 pieces fit up there pretty good. Measurements were close enough. Just see it starting to come over the edge. This side here, pretty perfect. Glad I did this where it has something solid on. Overhangs a little bit more on that piece, but that's pretty good. Got a gap in the middle there, which I'll fill in just with a 1x6, but there we go. Was going to use these pieces of plywood to make doors, but I think they'll do better up there. Now I could take all that shit and start sorting it. And again, this gap here, I kind of like the idea of leaving these open temporary, because then I could stand up in there and then screen off my vents. So not sure yet if I'm going to screen them off or how I'm going to seal those. But and then as for the plywood, I'm only going to put in 3 screws for now, just at the front, because I'll probably have to take that off and, you know, take it off maybe to do the insulation. I don't know. I think I could fit in there without removing it. So vapor barrier kind of sucks not having that in place, but we'll see. I guess that's the way I'm going to leave this. There we go. There's the workbench. If I add up the price of that plywood, which I technically got it for free, but I'm still going to add it up. The amount of rough cut I used, 400. That's almost $500 right there to build that. So that's not too bad. Oh, wait. Just got inside in time. Hail. Yeah, that's going to destroy the garden. Some of that's actually, oh, well, some of it's getting to the size of like 3/4 inch or so. Yeah. Truck's taking a little bit of a beating. It already has a little bit of hail damage, but I'm not too worried about that. We'll just see if it gets any worse. As for the metal on the building, yeah. Let's just hope it doesn't get beat up too much. They smell the barbecue. That's exactly what it is. They want the barbecue.
Yeah.
Really?